Welcome to the Car Guys and welcome to a sunny foreign place. You can tell I'm not in the UK for this week's episode because A, it's sunny, B, I can't hear any riots, and C, I haven't been mugged or stabbed yet.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Jason has already recognised the coming apocalypse and secured a holiday home in Yorkshire to retreat when the zombies come. And that got me to thinking, if the Car Guys up sticks and left the UK for good, or perhaps just secured a foreign base, we'd need a suitable car to enjoy those deserted, well-made, well-funded, sun-soaked roads. And it must be agile, fun, not too flash, and most likely a convertible. To help me come up with my ideal shortlist, I of course enlisted you on Instagram and YouTube, because you know everything. So I've combined your ideas with my own slightly eccentric, eclectic choices, and boy, have we got a scorching hot list for you this week. So if that sounds like your special kind of get the hell out of Dodge and move to sunnier climes with a cool new car vodka, let's get on with it. It's not an exaggeration to say that it really does feel that many parts of the world are plunging into hell in a handbasket. The causes are well known, largely ignored by corrupt or incompetent politicians, and of course mainstream media, and we're all being treated like ill-informed idiots. And living in the UK over the past few years, this once green and pleasant land has increasingly seemed to me to have become a far meaner, dirtier and dangerous place. There's little hope, constant lies and gaslighting, unfair practices, soaring costs of living and deteriorating public services and safety. Crimes are not solved, policing favours some and not others, roads are not maintained, few care about customer service or a hard day's work. In short, it's shit. And I never thought I'd say this, but I'd happily leave it all behind. So that got me thinking, if I did have a home away from this dreary, bleak place, and let's assume that since it's the Car Guys, it would be surrounded by epic driving roads, what cars would I take and buy for this paradise? This week then I'm going to reveal my 10 best hot holiday cars, all of them convertibles. I'm not going to care about staying in air-conditioned luxury for basic travel. This is all about fun and enjoying the local roads. I also want to be distinctive, but without being too flash. So supercars, they're right out. And I want something with character, although something like my old favourite, the Peugeot 306 convertible, well, that's not going to be on the list either. And I'm also going to cover some honourable mentions thanks to you guys who messaged me on YouTube and Instagram. So without further ado, under this baking hot sun, let's get on with it. And my first choice, actually one of my favourites. This is the Ariel Atom. Now this strikes me as being one of the most fun cars that you could have in a climate like this. A hot, warm place, quite dry, great roads. What you need is something super nippy, super sticky, and the Ariel Atom, of course, as you know, because you're connoisseurs of cars, it's got that exposed roll cage type arrangement. It's basically a little race car, but it's quite supple and amazing fun on twisty roads. It was first launched in 2000 in Crewkerne in Somerset, where it's still made today. And just look at it, very cool for a summer country. You don't really need the Atom 500, the big V8 one. I think it's perfectly fine having these smaller engined, supercharged, or maybe even the turbocharged models like the current one, the Atom 3 or 4. I don't really fancy the Series 1 with the K-Series motor, but certainly anything Honda powered, and I'm totally there. You can get them in different colours as you see here, and I just think they're super fun and the sort of thing I would dive into, nip down the shops for a pint of milk. Current values for Atoms around about £30,000-40,000, so relatively affordable, and it's the sort of thing that you wouldn't care about leaving out here all year round, and it would be ready and eager to rip up some roads as soon as you get back. Second on my list, another quite eclectic choice. This is a replica of a Porsche 550 Spider or 718. Either way, uber cool, super svelte and sexy styling. Now this is an odd choice, I will admit, but real ones are like hen's teeth. They are impossible to find and exceptionally rare and valuable. It only made 78 of the original 550 Spyders between 1954 and 1956, so you wouldn't want to rattle around the roads around here, and you certainly wouldn't want to leave it unattended for large parts of the year either. So a real one, totally out. But fortunately, you can get pretty good replicas for not much money. And how stylish would it be driving around James Dean style in one of these? You find them occasionally in the classifieds like this one, specialists like Speedsters in Loughborough, and companies like Holmes and Martin & Walker Technic make them as well. And you can also get them as kits like the RSK here. There's no doubt about it, the 550 Spider, thanks to the premature death of James Dean, really does evoke an era of carefree, unadulterated, unfiltered cool. They generally come with 1500cc VW engines, but you can sort of pep them up a bit as well. But you're not going to talk about something that's going to keep up with a Lamborghini. This is more about boulevard cool. It's about cruising and about looking good. And in a convertible, this is about as good as it gets, in my opinion. Currently, values for the replicas are about 40 to 50,000 quid, which I'll admit is a chunk of change for something that isn't real and may well have been cobbled together by some bloke in a shed. But, as a car that you could keep in a sunny climate and take out and have fun on twisty roads, I think it's a pretty good option. Next up is the humble MX5, either a Mark 1 or a Mark 2. Now, you know how much I love these cars. I did an in-depth review of a Mark 1 not that long ago, which admittedly not many of you watched, but I love these cars, and it is the perfect accompaniment for a hot holiday home, I think you'll agree. Light, nippy, great handling, peppy, lots of colours and special editions, so easy to find one that you exactly want. You've got the proven reliability of the Mazda engine, parts are readily available, it's frugal on fuel, it will always start. And don't forget, it was also featured in Sexy Beast, one of the coolest British films ever made. Now, maybe this is too obvious a choice because of the Sexy Beast connection, but I think it is a fantastic car for tooling around on roads around here. I've already seen quite a few of them on the roads, so it's not going to make you unique, but it is a really good option. And values for these sort of things, well, to get a really good one, I mean, you're talking less than £10,000, and probably the most you would ever have to spend would be £15,000. So it's also extremely affordable. The fourth one on my list is actually a car that I already own, so very easy to get it to a holiday home. It is the Porsche 718 Spider, one of the bargain sports cars of the last decade, one of the greatest sports cars of the last decade, and somewhat of a bit of a hidden gem because not many people know about them. Everyone thinks it's just a Boxster, but those in the know that the 718 Spider is very, very special. It is, of course, a roofless GT4, and that makes it a pretty effective weapon on roads like these. That naturally aspirated 4-litre flat 6 engine develops 414 brake horsepower, and of course you've got superb handling, it's reliable, it's fast, it's actually very pretty. The open top, the faffy roof, which, yeah, I'm not even going to defend it. I mean, it is rubbish, it's a real pain in the neck, but if you keep it down all the time, like you would here, you don't have to worry about that. My particular one is already styled up to look like a 1950s classic racing Porsche. An additional benefit of a hot country, of course, is that the sun will continue to patina those custom Cafe Racer seats that I put in mine. Values of these, well, they held up pretty well for a long time, and actually you're still going to probably have to pay at least £80,000 for a good one of these. 80 to 100 grand is what you'd need to pay for a 718 Spider, but if you want a Swiss Army knife of cars for a hot country like this, I think probably this is the one. I know what you're thinking, Damien. How did you become so cultured? Well, it just comes naturally. This is the Mercedes 280 SL, and it's a true gentleman's classic, but it's also perfect for elegant ladies. The W113 Mercedes replaced the 300 SL, arriving in 1967. It's cool, stylish, understated, effortless, well-engineered, and beautiful. Imagine tooling around a Costa Boulevard in this classic. Current values, 80 to 100,000 pounds, but if you want for the chunky 1980s SL, then you can get those for just 20 to 30,000. Now, number 6 is the Jeep Wrangler, and I know what you're thinking. Have you lost your mind? Hold on though, doesn't this look exactly like a holiday car should? Doesn't it just scream it? Open-topped, rugged, go anywhere, you jump in and out, not caring where you leave it? Come on, it's the perfect holiday home car.
Not a great plan.
The Jeep is an American icon, and don't forget, Thomas Crown had one for his luggage. Now, currently values for these chunky monkeys are around 10 to 20,000 pounds, so they don't even cost that much money. And if you want something rugged and you want something you can bash around and not care about, surely this is one of the coolest choices. I used to have a Jeep Grand Cherokee and I absolutely loved it, but this one, you can basically take the top off, you might even be able to take the doors off, and you've got big chunky wheels that extend beyond the wheelbase. It's just a fun thing. Come on guys, get behind this. Number 7 on my list. Now this is a bit of me, and anyone that knows me knows that I have a soft spot for the RollsRoyce Cornish. Always have done. Imagine tooling around in one of these svelte masterpieces of just the right vintage, of course. Look at this one from Silver Lady Services in gorgeous and appropriate Mediterranean blue. It's a 1980s car on a V-plate, and it's absolutely marvelous. I love the elegance of these cars. I love the ride, design, I love the engineering, I love the history. And if you drove one of these around a place like this, you would be a king. You would always get a parking space. You'd always be first and allowed into the restaurant. This is a car that's high class and demands class. And I have to say, the RollsRoyce Cornish, I've been looking for an excuse to get one of these things, and this could very well be it. Car number 8, and you're not going to believe this, but as Roger Moore would say, we're keeping the British end up. It's the Morgan Plus 4. That's right, I've gone Morgan. It's probably one of the only times I would ever choose one of these plucky little cars, but I have to say, surely this is a great environment for it. It's a great holiday car. I honestly can't think of a more happy, sunny car than the Morgan. A bona fide British institution is still going strong, and it always elicits smiles on everyone's face, including the driver, of course. If you're going to go for the Plus 4, which is the one I would personally choose, lots of bright colours are available, as Morgan owners tend to like to personalise their cars. And if you've gone on the configurator on the Morgan website, you can see an absolute endless amount of customization. Plenty of them are available as well, because Morgan has been around since 1909. They're light, they only weigh a ton. And look at this one, for example, from Bell Sport Classics. A beautiful silver with blue interior. Absolutely sublime. Current values, if you're going for used, about 25 to 30,000 pounds. They do hold their value pretty well. If you're going to go for a new Plus 4 with a few decent options, then that's going to be north of 70,000 pounds. But what a thing. And to drive around here, yeah, I could totally see it. Now, number 9, surprisingly, hasn't been suggested by a single one of you, but it's a car that I immediately thought of when I was coming up with this list. It is the Renault Sport Spider, a very rare car, but when you see one, you fall instantly in love with it, or at least I did. They're cool looking, curvy, distinctive, and exceptionally rare. This blue one, my pick of the colours because it reminds me of the Clio Williams, is available from Sasso Automotive. They've got nippy little handling, they're great fun, fully open, there's no roof on it at all, and you can get them for about 25 to 30,000 pounds when they become available, which is exceptionally rare. So this, I think, I mean, again, all the cars on this list I would quite happily have. This one, this would be something special, I think. I've no idea how reliable they are. I've no idea if it's easy to get parts, but I am a huge fan of the Renault Spider, as I'm sure many of you are. You just forgot about it. And the final car on my list, well, I couldn't not put this in because I love the hardtop one so much. It's the Lexus LC500 Convertible. Now this might be a bit too posh and maybe refined for this sort of environment. I don't know what you think about that, but I can't help but be seduced by that naturally aspirated V8. Puts out 457 brake horsepower and sounds like an incredible muscle car. It's properly beautiful as a drop top. It's refined, it's powerful, and the only downside is it's maybe a bit heavy. So it's going to be heavy on brakes, and piling into those corners might be pretty scary. I have to say though, I prefer the LC500 convertible over the sea of Aston Martin DB11s that you find on the Costa, and therefore I think it's a solid choice, but maybe a bit too high end. Current values though, about 70 to 100,000 pounds. So they're not cheap, but they are incredibly beautiful and refined, and as a Lexus, you couldn't want for more. Check out my video of the hardtop. There you have it then, a typical Car Guys eclectic list of petrol-powered guff masquerading as meaningful journalism. I hope you enjoyed it.
Are you serious?
And I admit that in terms of consumer advice, it ranks about as highly as what brand of chocolate you should use for your teapot. But I had fun, and ultimately, that's what this channel is all about. Cars and fun, and ranting and moaning and driving wonderful cars for your viewing pleasure. Before we end, some honourable mentions that didn't quite make the full list, but were nonetheless entertaining and interesting possibilities. They came from you, dear viewers. The Mini Moke. Yes, interesting choice, but not my kind of thing. The R129 Mercedes, definitely a good option, but I chose the 280 SL instead. The G600 G-Wagon Londelay. I'm with you on that one. The 1988 Vantage Volante. Yes, I salute you, sir, the best of British. We've also got the Alpha Spider Classic, already seen one of those today. Alpha 4C, a very popular choice, but I think a bit too bumpy. The BMW Z8, Boss Man. Original Defender 90 soft top. I know where you're going, but I think I prefer some of the other options. Saab 900 convertible, quite wobbly, but you know that I'm a Saab 900 man, so I know where you're coming from there. A Bath 124 was on the list actually, and I think I knocked it out in favour of something else. Citroën DS 19 Decapotable. Wow. What a choice, quite rare to get a hold of. The Lotus Elan SE M100, interesting. BMW 507, yes, exceptionally rare, very expensive. I'll have the John Surtees one, please. BMW Z4 M40i, good choice. Caterham, bit too hardcore, I think. Peugeot 205 CTI, close, almost made it. And the Fiat Barchetta, or Barchetta, depending how you pronounce it. That one really almost got on the list, but I think I went MX5 instead. So there you have it. Thank you very much for watching The Car Guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it entertaining and interesting. If you like what we're doing on The Car Guys, please subscribe, leave comments and like. There'll be another episode at some point in the future.